We are at the end of the school year, and so many of you are probably already looking to next fall. How are you going to provide a quality education for your kids? Now, it might seem like for whatever reason, public school is out. You're not even going to consider it for the fall of 25-26, but private school feels and is so expensive. So, what opportunities and alternatives do you have to a public school education or a very expensive private school education? I've got great news for you. You have never had as many solid academic opportunities as you do right now. So I want to list a couple of them for you. Now, many of you guys are considering, not going to public school, but you're wondering how you're going to afford private school, and you think about homeschooling and it just feels so overwhelming. But the great thing about homeschooling right now is that there's never been a better time because of the number of alternative educational options available to you as actually a homeschooler. And being a homeschooler doesn't mean that you have to do all the teaching. It doesn't mean that you're the educator. What it means is that you are the one who oversees the educational opportunities for your kids. So in homeschool right now, there is this growing movement called microschools, and these are springing up all over the country. In my little area in South Dakota, which very few people live in South Dakota, let's be honest, we have like 6 microschools that have sprung up in the last 2 years. What is a microschool? Well, it's a combination of academic class day, university model school, and maybe even a co-op. And those are different terms that have been used interchangeably in the homeschooling movement. But I want to talk about a couple ideas related to microschools. Microschools are a place that you can take your kiddo to. They can take a 1, 2, 3, 4 day a week classroom experience, and they are learning maybe some basic academics. Maybe the microschool has a theme to it, like maybe it's a STEM focus or an art focus or a homestead focus. And while your kids are at that little microschool, they're focusing on those things. Like if it's a STEM focus, obviously they're going to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and math. If it's an arts focus, again, they're going to be talking about theater, music, the arts, etc. So microschools, again, they're burgeoning around the United States. It can be a great alternative option for so many of us, and usually they cost quite a bit less than a private school. The other great thing about these microschools is that there's a lot of alternative educational dollars floating around for nonprofits. And if it's a nonprofit microschool, they might have a grant that makes it very accessible for your kids to come into that program for not the cost of what a private education would be. Now you want to look at what that microschool's focuses on and how they're teaching academics, because again, academics are an important part of your kids' education, right? Let's not overlook that. I did mention another term, university model school, and there are university model schools all over the country. They've been around for, I would say, like 15, 20 years. And a university model school meets either 3 days a week or 2 days a week. They function pretty much like what you're used to in a private or a public school. So the kids go to school, they have assignments, they go home during their off days from the on-campus experience. They're doing the homework that is assigned to them during the days that they're on campus, and then that material is graded, they have assignments, etc. So it's kind of a traditional school with some of the time like the kids are at home instead of in that place, because there is a location generally for those university model schools, and they're built on a university block schedule, so your kids can take English or science. Sometimes they can go part-time, sometimes full-time, and I think microschool and university model schools, they're often generally used interchangeably at this point. I think microschool is the term I've heard more and more than university model school at this point. Now, there are a lot of co-ops and class days in the homeschool universe, and these are often regional, but they can vary significantly depending on the purpose of that class, or of that co-op, or of that academic class day. A co-op is generally an enrichment program. A group of parents got together and decided that they want to offer things like gym or drama, or maybe they want to do a writing class, or they want to do more enrichment activities, and it's usually parent-led. The parents aren't necessarily subject matter experts. they're coming and volunteering their time. They're cooperatively getting together and providing opportunities for their kids. So it's a really nice way, low cost, to have a lot of great opportunities for your kids. We started a large co-op in our area a couple, like 15, 20 years ago, and it's still going strong. It took a year or two off for COVID, but years later, those families, well, new families, because we started it and we're not homeschooling anymore, but families are coming in and doing cooperative kind of classes together, and they're working together to provide those opportunities. They might do field trips, they might do parties like for Valentine's Day and things like that. So a co-op is a great way to have enrichment and other activities for your kids without a lot of cost. An academic class day is a little bit different from a co-op in that an academic class day is going to provide academics. And so you might pay more than you would for a co-op. And a co-op, it could be no cost, low cost, or you trade time for opportunity, etc. But for an academic class day, you can plan on paying some money for that opportunity. You might hire in subject matter experts. So you might hire in somebody who's fluent in Spanish to teach Spanish to your kids, or an actual scientist to come do labs for your kids, etc. And you can again expect to pay some more money, not just for the instruction, but often for materials too. And there's some really, there's some national academic class days, and then there's some regional that parents put together, and it just really depends on what kind of opportunities you can find or bring into your area for that. I want to talk about dual credit because this is such an important opportunity for families to get college credit at a low cost. So in our state, you can take dual credit for really pennies on the dollar compared to what it would cost once your kids have graduated from high school. This is usually your kids have to be 15 or 16 or a junior or senior, or as a homeschooler you have to fill out a specific application to take dual credit from your local state colleges, universities, or private institutions, and your kids can earn college credit while they're still in high school for really low cost. So you can take a 3 credit class as a dual credit student for like $150 instead of $1,200. So again, pennies on the dollar. It's a great opportunity if you have kids that are motivated in that direction. The issue with dual credit, as with AP and CLEP, I talk about this in some of the workshops that I'm doing live at conventions, is that if you transfer to another school, they might not accept the dual credit. They might take the credit but not the class, in which case you've paid for elective credits, but you don't get that class counted towards gen eds or towards the degree program. So you want to check with whatever institution your kids are planning to go to later down, so that that time and money and energy, because it does take time, money, and energy to get that dual credit done, counts towards the degree. Okay, and then of course there's a dual degree program like what we offer at True North Academy, where students can actually earn an entire 4-year accredited bachelor's degree while they're going through an accredited high school program. So it's learn once, earn twice. There are other programs around the country that are online as well where you can do this, but it's all self-paced. So our program is super unique in that the kids are doing a combination of live online and self-paced classes to earn a dual degree, a full year, 4-year accredited bachelor's degree. Now, the great thing about what's going on in education right now is that you can do a combination of all of these things within the same year. You can do some homeschooling, you can do an academic class day, you can be part of a UMS or a microschool. Your kids could take 1 or 2 dual credit classes, or they could just do a dual degree program and then do some homeschooling on the side. So right now you have so much freedom in the homeschool world. And listen, that is one of the hallmarks of homeschooling and taking back education and really being the one who is mentoring your kids' schooling, is that you get to determine and decide what is best for my child, what is best for each of my children, because guess what? No matter how many kids you have, every single one of them will be distinct. This is one of the hallmarks of really being able to homeschool or do alternative education, is that you get to personalize the education for each and every student. Now, if you followed me on True North, on our YouTube channel, or any of our podcasts, you know that I am talking about the future of education and the future of work all the time, that we're in a global gig economy, that we're in the 4th Industrial Revolution. If you come to the conventions and listen to my live workshops, I mention it all the time because it is so important as we are overseeing our kids' education to know what we're educating them for. If we're educating them for the world in which we launched as young adults, guess what? That world is a modern world, and we are in a postmodern world. We are in a high-tech world, and so we've really got to upgrade and be preparing our kids well for the future of work in which they will live. And so if you have any questions about how to make that happen, I'm going to give you 2 tips, maybe 3, and then I'd love for you to shoot me a DM because I've got lots of solutions for you. Number 1, you've got to focus on solid academics, no matter what alternative kind of education you do, if it's co-op, class D, enrichment, etc. They must have language and numeric literacy. That means they have to know how to write well, and they need to know how to speak well. Bonus, bonus, bonus. They have got to know how to do math well. And sure, they can use a computer, but guess what? You know, owning material in your head means that you've learned it. This is one of the parts of psychology of learning, right? Is that if you have it memorized, you own it. Of course, you don't have to memorize all the facts that should be contextualized, right? But understanding like the basic functions of math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and having those memorized means you can do algebra without breaking a sweat because you can just look at the complexity of that algebraic equation and you can actually solve some of it as you go. If you don't have those things memorized, you're going to think you're bad at algebra, and the reality is you're just bad at having memorized basic math facts. Same goes for language literacy. Did you guys hear about that girl who just sued her high school? She graduated as the valedictorian and turned around and sued her high school because she was illiterate, functionally illiterate. That means that you can't read or understand past a 5th grade level. So many of our kids are graduating as functional illiterates, and that is no bueno. Our kids really need to know how to be literate. They need to know how to speak persuasively. They need to know how to think persuasively. Here's the value of knowing how to write really, really well. This is why we focus so much on essay writing and persuasive writing in our language arts program at True North Academy, because if you can write well, guess what? You're thinking well, because writing is part of the thinking process. If you can write well, which means you're thinking well, you can speak well. And guess what? Most people who are hiring right now, the things that they're looking for in new hires are how to sell. And what is selling? It is the art of persuasion. So if your kids can write and think well and speak well, they're going to be way out ahead of the pack. If you don't know how to help your kids with that, you got to come to True North Academy classes, Julia Jinx's middle school writing classes, Beth Purcell, Angie Farrell, Anna Knob, and the rest of our amazing team, Carrie Holland, that are teaching writing, spelling, grammar, thinking, lit analysis, Natasha Jones. They are teaching your kids to think well, write well, and therefore they'll have the ability to speak well. And again, that's going to put them way out ahead of the crowd for where we're headed in this 4th industrial revolution. While we become more tech oriented, guess what? Those skills that we all took for granted, those humanities skills, thinking well, writing well, knowing how to do basic math, they're becoming more valuable because people are relying on tech in ways that they shouldn't. They're using it as a crutch instead of a tool. So those of us with humanities training that can take our humanities training, those basic solid academics, and move them into utilizing tech, we're going to be so much farther ahead of the game. I could go on and on about this. In fact, I do in some of my workshops on the podcast and on YouTube. Go check out our other opportunities to listen and learn more about education and the 4th Industrial Revolution and the amazing classes that we have at True North Academy. If you're looking at our classes for fall of 25-26, don't delay. Go to the catalog at truenorthhomeschool.academy. Order your classes sooner than later. Classes are filling fast. We've already closed a couple classes with more about to fill. We want to make sure that you get in the seat that you want. There's a place for you at True North Academy. We love our families that we've had the opportunity to meet and talk with and sit down with so many of our families at conventions this spring, and we love that. It just really, honestly, it's the best part of what we do is actually meeting our families and our students in person. We're so honored, honestly, to come alongside your families and help provide quality education. That's what we do at True North Academy. It's what we love to do. It's what we're passionate about, and it really is a joy. We believe that education is a transmission of culture, and we really take seriously the opportunity that we have to transmit a culture of truth, and that wow, there's nothing better than having a job where you get to do such important work. So let us know if you have any questions about our classes, about the Fourth Industrial Revolution, about typical course of study. We're getting questions about that all the time. About transcript writing, we have a transcript template on the website, truenorthhomeschool.academy. And we also have a timeline for you guys to go check out how to make homeschool high school a success. I'd love to hear what you guys think and what kind of alternative educational models you're participating in. Are you at a microschool? Do you do a co-op or a class day? And are your kids doing dual credit? Are you interested in the dual degree? Would love to hear from you guys. This is Lisa from True North Academy, and I will talk to you soon.